Hello everybody and welcome back to another Dweller video. Today I'm going to be reviewing SCR version 2.2, the Metro update, giving you all my thoughts and opinions on it. So without further ado, let's get started. I hope you enjoy the video. Just like the airport update, we've had yet another network reshuffle to confuse everybody, where Metro has both brand new lines as well as old lines taken over from Connect. It mustn't be a great day at the Connect headquarters, which is ironically now right next to a Metro station. Anyway, if you want to get the confusion of Metro out of your head, I already made a video summarising it, which you can find in the description. But in basic terms, Metro Core, Button Loop, Connect takeovers, UFC, Morgantown docks, and no Stepford Loop. Yeah, I told you so. As for what I think about the network, well, I have a few things to say. First of all, it's great. Think about how every single time a new operator has been released to the public in SCR, it's always just one or two principal lines, often without branches at all. Metro has broken that trend where, on its first day of operation, there are loads of branches. Content-wise, this update is difficult to become boring for players, so I think they did a great job with that. Although, I do have a few nitpicks. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense for Connect to still continue past Stepford Central if Metro is in charge of Victoria and Willowfield. Sure, Willowfield is a bit further away, but it doesn't seem quite right for both a commuter operator and a regional operator to populate these small lines. Also, the choice to have both operators running on the Whitefield line was a little unusual, but I can understand where they're coming from. After all, High Street closing has done wonders to make the network more interesting, even with the rest of the Whitefield line being de-electrified. A lot of people have been upset that they can't drive their favourite trains to Whitefield anymore, but to me it makes sense. Think about Woodhead Lane. Why would such a random rural station with practically nothing there be served by frequent electric trains? I think the new system for the rural half of the Whitefield line makes a lot more sense now. Also, the Barton Loop is interesting. It seems a little unusual because all the stations on the loop are really close together, although I guess it makes sense because Metro systems do tend to have those oddities sometimes. The loop itself is really difficult to get to because the closest place you can spawn a train to get there without turning around is the Beachley sidings, so it could probably do with a new siding nearby so that players can access it without a headache. Otherwise, apart from Morgantown being decently far away, the Metro network is pretty comprehensive and makes sense, especially the core section. Before I move on to review the individual stations, I want to mention the fact that a lot of Connect stations have been rebranded with new Metro signage and colours. Sometimes I think the new brand identity fits incredibly well, like here at East Berrily, or here at Hemden Park, but in some places it seems a little off. At Financial Quarter, I used to really like the blue colour scheme as it fit the quayside area very well, but now the Metro red looks a little bit jarring and honestly not great. Also, the Metro platform signage looks pretty good, although I'm not the biggest fan of the block being red all around as it seems a little too vibrant. Now onto the stations. First of all, we have the new low-level platforms at Stepford Central, based on the U-Bahn. In fact, the Metro Core section has inspiration from both the U-Bahn in Germany and the Tyne and Wear Metro in Newcastle. Whilst I feel like there's a bit too much grey, I think the platforms look very modern and I love the attention to detail. The theme of pillars separating double tracks between platforms is a pretty cool feature, and the glass panels leading to the escalators add a nice touch of character. I have mixed feelings about the large platform signage. Whilst it fits well here, I'm not sure the same can be said about the other stations, and you can see that they are a little bit pixelated. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of the concourse up here, as it feels a bit last minute and too spacious, and it's also pretty difficult to find from the main part of the station. The first of 3 new stations in this update is Four Ways, which has a very London Overground-esque entrance under this bridge, which I think fits very well in the area and looks great. The platforms use the very unusual colour choice of green, which I think looks odd at the escalator area, but looks pretty nice on the platforms considering the pillar system across the station. The station is a basic 2-platformer that does the job, and I've not got much to say about it. But I will say that the huge platform signs do look quite tacky, even though they're only trying to mimic Newcastle. At Stepford East, you're met once again by a very basic metro concourse, although this one isn't as large, so it's okay. The platforms here are brown, which fits quite nicely, though I think the walls across the station are a little too smooth and blocky for my liking. The signage is alright, and I really like how the theme of the yellow stripe has kept so nicely in this underground section. Also, it's quite similar to Stepford Central in its core design, although it uses 2 island platforms rather than the layout seen at Stepford Central. Whilst I'm here, I might as well mention this pretty cool looking siding. It reminds me of the Waterloo and City Line depot, and I like the skylight above the tracks to the outside world. High Street Station is okay, but it's probably my least favourite new build. The entrance is outside a very nice looking new bus station and a new office tower where staff can train spot, though I'm not a fan of the design of the building, nor the fact that it cuts into the new viaduct. I do, however, really love the fact that the old Connect platforms were kept here as more SCR lore, to commemorate what the game used to be. The station entrance is pretty simple, with a basic platform concourse, and the platforms are very interestingly shaped to include both the main line and the split off to UFC. Though, out of personal taste, I'm not a fan of the cream colour or the very simplistic design of the walls. The Metro logos across the station are nice touches though. I should briefly mention the full station upgrade of Ellesmere Pond, which has been rebuilt to resemble Ainsdale Station on the Merseyrail network. The station fits nicely into its area and certainly looks a lot better than before, with a good looking waiting room and footbridge. The logos on the side of the main structure look good, although the main structure itself looks a little unusual in my opinion. Now we get to the Barton Loop, where there's even more Merseyrail, starting here at Coxley Newtown. I love the design of this station. It's my favourite new set of platforms in this update. Despite a simple entrance area, even incorporating one of the original station entrances, the station is simply magnificent, with its red stripe, platform texture, and view to the sky. The station feels like it has a lot of character, which is very nice, and it's based on Conway Park Station. Finally, over at Barton, we've been given a design based on Liverpool Central, with a very nice looking concourse akin to what it looks like in real life. The platforms themselves look okay if you ignore the blank wall sections, although I feel like the station lacks any character. By contrast, its bassist, Liverpool Central Northern Line, has a lot more character than Barton, as grimy as it looks. Some details are quite nice, like the beams above the tracks, and the interesting thing about this station is that trains can terminate here in both directions, making it a bit of a wildcard to signal. Not gonna lie, I felt like vaguely mundane explaining all these. It's also worth noting that the Barton Loop uses the same good-looking tunnel sections as the airport, but the Metro core section uses very basic tunnels. I'm not the biggest fan of these, as they barely have any texture and run for a long time, and some of the junction sections are bland and leave much to be desired. Now onto the trains. Not much to mention here, but firstly we have the Class 717, which has been transferred over from Connect to Metro and is now free. I think the Metro livery suits the 717 better than the Connect livery did before, with the seat maquette pattern looking good too. It's not quite up to scratch with the other Metro trains, but hey, at least it's free. New to Metro, and also completely new to the community as it wasn't any sneak peeks, the Class 555 from the Tyne and Wear Metro is now in the game, and it looks excellent. It's the first train in SCR to have a full set of longitudinal seating, the 345 doesn't have this, with a nice open cab window and an exceptional model. Interestingly, the carriages on this train are very short, which makes the double version surprisingly easy to fit into platforms. Keeping with the Stadler theme, we also have the longed-for Class 777 on Metro, similarly looking excellent with its unique interior. Like the 555, it has a very unique door light animation, with green and red flashing lights as the doors open and close, just like in real life, which I think is an amazing touch. The cab is very detailed, though a nitpick I have with Metro trains is that, during the night, the cabs look exceptionally dark and you can barely see anything. I think the 777 is my favourite train on the Metro network. Finally, Metro also has a Sthlm flirt in the form of a Class 756 with a power car. I love the warm interior modelling on this train, with some excellent lighting and seat designs, and a spacious cab. These trains also have new sounds to improve from the existing flirt variants on Ehrling. Pretty solid overall. Although, I'm not done with trains, there are some new things on Express and Ehrling too, starting with the Class 180 from the 100 million visits update. Personally, I really like the attention to detail on this train model, particularly as I travelled long distance on one recently. I really like the cab, as unusually shaped the windows are, and I think the special feature livery fits nicely on Express without being over the top. The HSTs have also been given much longer variants now, with 8 and 9 car formations available, much more akin to real life. I'm glad that the longer trains game pass is gradually becoming more worth it, since you can now get a decent number of trains from it. And finally, after a long wait, Ehrling finally has a Class 745 available to drive. This has been alluded to for a long time, particularly with car stop markers across the network, and I think the train is an absolutely perfect fit for Ehrling. The interior of the train looks brilliant, even with a shop and a first class section, and I think the livery really suits the train overall. Before I end the video, like with every update review, you get a nice time-lapse with commentary at the end, and I'll be doing Willowfield to Barton via Bowden. Starting at Willowfield, not much has changed in this area, with the line of trees being exactly as it is and nothing other than a lot of green. The recently remodelled Hampden Park is looking very nice though. Some scenery upgrades are definitely in need in this section before we arrive at Beachley, which has a new colour scheme. Round the corner to City Hospital, we stop at the station, which has a new junction just after it, where Metro dives down under the river to the new core section. The first stop is Stepford Central Low Level, with platforms numbered A to D to avoid confusion. Four Ways intercepts between Stepford Central and Stepford East as a small breakout station, followed soon after by Stepford East. After departing Stepford East, Metro's Skylight siding is passed, before heading into High Street, which is now on the mainline section. Resurfacing in a new tunnel portal, we get to the now spaghetti junctions at St Helens Bridge, where platform 4 can now be used as an overflow platform in both directions. After stopping at Angel Pass and Bowden, we get to a very large and basic tunnel portal area, where the train dives down into the new tunnels for Coxley Newtown. After a very short curve in the tunnel, we reach Barton Station, where the route can either end or continue further to Ellesmere Junction. Other than some new features like delay announcements spamming the platforms across the network, a new connect route from Whitefield to Willowfield, and a new depot at Berrily, that's pretty much all for the Metro update. I think the update is a very player-centered update with a lot of content to be enjoyed, with decent map quality and particularly exceptional new trains. We haven't seen an update of this size since 1.10, and arguably even before then, so this is very exciting for us all. Anyway, that'll be all for today's video. If you enjoyed, leave me a like, and consider subscribing if you enjoy my content. I'm Dweller, and I will see you very soon. Take care.